Okay, there was the music. All right, we caught it this time. Ha ha!
We did?
Podcast my ass. We beat it. We win.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, it's about time.
About damn time. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 88. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt.
We are here to talk about gaming.
And junk.
And greediness. Today we're talking about something you probably all knew was coming. If you haven't heard already, I'd be amazed. This has been mainstream level news. We're going to be talking about the Star Wars Battlefront 2 nonsense that happened over the past week. That happened basically, if you remember on the last episode of the podcast, we talked about how there was a lot of in-game hours needing to be played. Oh man, did it blow up in the past week. We'll get to it. First, let's go over our normal stuff, all the lovely things. So check this out on screen. We got all the stuff you need to stay in touch with us, stay involved with the podcast, all that great stuff. First up, Twitter. Right next to me is at FranticJ3. Right next to him is at Onyx Spartan. ONYX Spartan, all one word, as you can clearly see. But that is us on Twitter. If you want to go and follow us, you can get all the updates to the podcast, the fun stuff we tweet out, the maybe not so fun stuff we tweet out. All that stuff is there. Also, if you want to follow the official Frantic Talks Twitter account, we are at Frantic_Talks and the logo there. Up above me is Facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. More Facebook form of Twitter. We also have Twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, where you're probably watching us live right now. If not, join us every Friday. Nope, every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Usually. I don't know where I got Friday. We've been doing this on the same day for 88 episodes. I somehow pulled out Friday.
Hey.
Yeah, and also above him is at just FranticTalks.com. That's where you can find everything I just mentioned, along with some other cool things in our footer of our website, including a link to the Discord server, links to our Xbox DVRs. Check out some of the cool clips we've gotten, and also magic.frantictalks.com for all your magic needs. Post a lot of cool articles over there, cool card interactions, some fun little stuff. It's been a little dormant. Hopefully we change that. We'll find out anyways. So that's how you can find us, continue the conversation, give us your thoughts on this topic today that we're going to be talking about, that we usually talk about. So all that fun stuff, you can let us know what you think. Give us your 2 cents. Maybe we don't cover your point of view because you're unaware of it. Whatever it is, you let us know. But we'd like to start this podcast off with one very simple question. That question is, Grunt, how was your week?
It's been busy. I haven't really played a whole lot of games this week. So far, it's been a little bit of Rocket League, some Destiny 2 with our Westward Bound friend Freak Show.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have a story about that, but I'm not sure if I should go into detail without his permission. So
I have a story about that, and I'm not sure how much detail I go into.
Well, he basically drove through my area without even realizing it last night.
Oh.
So, yes. And that close. He's like the only person from Frantic Talks I haven't met yet. But, I mean, it's because he's the newest addition. So, well, there is Luke on the Magic side, so.
Yeah, technically Luke, and even my good friend Bob. I think only wrote one article.
I totally forgot about Bob. I'm sorry, Bob. Please don't hate me.
No, it's okay. He's only written like one article.
Wow.
It's all right.
It's all right he forgot about you. You only wrote one article anyways.
Yeah, real quick note. If you notice that Grunt is a little different on his audio and maybe even video, that is because Discord is currently dead. I can't think of a better word to describe it. So we had to resort to Skype. So we're back to like podcasts like 60 or 50 or something where we didn't have the higher level quality. Just for this one episode, though.
Episode 10, when we first started switching to this.
Yeah.
That's because we use Skype and... all right, sidetracked. But yeah, my week has been pretty busy. Few game playing. I've mostly been spending that time setting up a Christmas tree, which is to my left. Like, oop, I just hit it. I'm just gonna stop that. And that's been about it. It's
Okay.
pretty much all I can think of. Listening to music, working on my one article for next week in the free time I've had. It was supposed to be this week. I know. I'm sorry, but since I've been busy, I haven't really had.
Reminded me to put the website up on screen. I usually do that while you're talking, and I always forget.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, I've been working on that. I'm pretty sure I'm just about have it finished.
That's good to hear.
Let's see what else. Oh, I was also challenged to do the whole black and white photo thing.
Yeah, and you posted something. I forget what it was.
Well, I posted a picture of my microphone that I'm using right now. Um, and I think the other thing was just a picture of dice, and I forgot to do the other 2 or 3 days for it. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take a picture each day of something that represents you or is something that happened that day, and you basically just turn it to a black and white photo and you post it with no context, which that's
Mm-hmm.
really hard for me to do because like I look at the picture, I know what it means, but I'm sure most of my friends,
The form of art, it leaves
don't.
it open to interpretation.
Right. So it's like, oh, cool, a picture of a bunch of dice. What is that nerd doing?
Showing off his
Oh,
sick dice collection. Seriously.
I still need more. So yeah, that's been fun to do. I've been interested in. Should really do it. I'm supposed to nominate people, but I've been forgetting to do that too.
Hmm.
I think I know a nomination.
I don't have a black and white filter on my phone.
You have like Photoshop or something, don't you?
Oh, I'm just flat out lying. I'm pretty sure I do. I just don't want to do it.
Fine then.
Oh no, I mean I'll do it. I have a Pixel, so I mean I can get some pretty good pictures on the damn thing. Because if you follow me on like Instagram or Twitter, you'd seen a good amount of my like nature photos.
Yes, they're much better
I'm
than the
not trying to
ones.
like be a good photographer or anything. I just like taking pictures of nature shit.
Right. I mean, I wish I could take good pictures. I can't.
People tell me they're good. I can nitpick them, but for the most part, it's just like, oh, that looks cool. Like snap like 2 pictures. Oh, I like the second one. Done. It's basically how my process goes.
Yes. So yeah, that's been pretty much how my week has been. Little bit of odd and end things thrown in here and there. Mostly busy setting up a tree, fighting a tree.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yes. How's your week been?
Well, it's been interesting. So my week was I guess I get into that first. So Sunday of this past week, I went and picked up a special podcast ghost Freak Show, and he basically he was moving out west, and that's about all I want to say about that. So I went and picked him up. We hung out for a little bit, and then I was his ride to get him where he needed to go. We hung out, played some games, watched some wrestling. We watched WrestleMania X7. We did not get to record anything. I did forget my microphone, so unfortunately we won't get to hear a podcast or anything like that. I should
Missed
have, I know,
opportunity.
but the circumstances weren't really going to allow it just because we had to be quiet and we didn't finish the show until midnight or close to it, and people were sleeping. Uh, my
Wait, people sleep?
apologies. Well, I wasn't. We were not at my place. We were at the lady friend's, and she was sleeping. She actually had work. I didn't. um, but besides that, played a little bit of Destiny, played some Rocket League, per usual. But yesterday was Magic Night, and I actually pulled up the conversations from earlier today. So in our Facebook messaging chat, our friend, the friends that we do Magic with, a couple of them couldn't make it, so Luke decided to give us a rundown of everything that happened last night in a shorthand form, and I want to read it to you because it was so glorious.
Oh, please do. This is gonna
So,
be good.
so we got together to play FNM EDH basically. So we were playing Commander. So the recap for last night. Game one was Duretti, the Scrap Savant. He's the red planeswalker who likes artifacts. I was running Pirates. Uh, Luke was running Seton or Seton. He's a druid, like a mono green druid. And then our good friend Tyler was running this Wizards deck. So there was one precon and then 3 others that were kind of modified. What ended up happening was there was a dragon out making everybody attack, so we were all throwing back and forth the Monarch crown because Luke threw the Monarch card in his deck, so we were all getting the crown and drawing cards. And the Duretti artifact deck won. Nothing too crazy in this, more or less just people amassing board states and they kept getting blown up. I will say, I got Hostage Taker out in like the first couple turns and stole a Genesis Hydra, which got to cast another clone and cast Hostage Taker to take another thing. So I was chaining Hostage Takers without really casting Hostage Takers. It was game two, we had Cats versus Azuri versus Zerlin, which is a dragon, and versus Edgar Markov, the vampire precon.
Dragon.
Long story short, the cats and the vampires were fighting each other. I was playing Azuri, and he built up really fat creatures and just cleaned up whatever was left. So I ended up winning that. Uh, followed by game three, we dropped down to 3 people. We had Azuri on someone else, so he was playing Azuri, our good friend Brian. I was playing Nath of the Gilt Leaf. He's a green black elf. And Luke was playing 4 color. It's a miracle, is what he calls it, because it's a 4 miracles deck. And he got out the Bloodfast of Argfast, or whatever it is. Bloodfast of Argula or whatever it is. It's one of the new ones where you pay 2 and draw a card for 2 life. He was just gaining life and drawing every card in his deck. So he basically just drew into everything he needed.
Oh my god.
This was another one where board states would build up and then he'd find the card and just blow it all up and restart. I kept playing like 10 or 12 elves, making a bunch of them, and then they get blown up before I could swing. So that's what ended up happening there. And then the second to final match of the night, we had Azuri again, because he didn't really get to do much in that game, so we played it again. I jumped back on Pirates because I'd just built the deck and hadn't played it beyond the game. And Luke changed to 5-color mono white, because that deck's really fun. And
wait, 5-color mono white?
Yeah, so I've explained this one before. Basically, his commander is Reaper King. Reaper King, you can pay all 5 colors to cast him, or you can pay 2 colorless per 2 generic per every color. So he technically can cost 10 if you don't have any of the colors, but you can pay 1 of each color. It's one of those hybrids that was an older set. But he basically plays all planes, a couple of dual lands, and all of his cards are white, but they're hybrid whites. So he can play like a creature that costs 2 and then 3 hybrid white-red. But he can still play it because he's running all 5 colors. It's a really cool deck. I really enjoy it. What ended up happening is Captain Lannery Storm on my side, who creates treasure tokens every time she attacks. I spell swindled his Reaper King and got 10 treasure tokens out of it. And then Lannery Storm gets +1/+0 every time he sacrifices a token. So I drew into, I think, 25 treasure tokens and railed into Luke with it.
Good lord.
Because I took away flying from everybody except my guys.
That's absurd.
And I think I ended up winning.
That is absurd.
Oh, it was really stupid. I ended up winning because Luke had a card out that says if you're the Monarch, you can't be dealt damage except this creature takes damage. I cloned that creature in Monarch, and he swung into me, had to kill it, and then I swung back and won. And that was a really fun game, but the last game is the most absurd. We had Duretti, the artifact guy again, versus Tristani tokens. And Luke was on Thrasios Akiri tokens, which is partner commander. Oh my god, this game was stupid. I can tell you this off memory without having to look at my phone. Basically, what ended up happening was Duretti got his emblem early, which means if we blow up artifacts, they're going back to his hand, so we couldn't really get rid of his stuff. I was just amassing a gigantic board state, going above 70 life, dropping back to 40, popping back up again. And Luke got out a doubling season and was like, you know what I need? I need every land to tap for 10 mana. Created 10 Regal Behemoth. Or he created 9 of them, which read, when you tap a land, add a color of any command to your mana pool. So it turned every land he had into a 10 mana rainbow land. And then he already cast Darksteel Colossus, and Luke exiled it and gave me a token of it, and he got tokens of it, and we just started populating Darksteel tokens. So we had 11 indestructible tokens that we were getting like 4 or 5 of every turn. It got
oh my god.
Luke was swinging for like 1,000 at one point because he just had so many creatures. His side was more effective because he had so much mana, so he could just keep making more tokens. I can only make about 4 or 5 a turn, so it was dumb. That last game was just so bonkers.
Let me take some of those tokens.
So I had a lot of fun. It was really cool to see the new Pirates deck in action. I built it myself from basically the box of rares the box that I bought along with a fat pack, and then pretty much just bought 1 hostage taker and got the rest out of like loans and a couple other cards I had spare of. It was fun to see the pirate deck in action. It is definitely a weird one. You can't just kind of play pirates and swing. You have to work around them, so I had to give them ways to be unblockable and all that.
Right.
But they definitely can grind it out. It was really cool to see that happen. And man, that last game, Luke can come up with some really bonkers shit, and I did not expect a Darksteel Colossus to get exiled and get tokens of it, because I'm over here like, I just need to kill off my Hydra because I can create a 6/6 token and just keep making more of it. He's like, no, you know it's better than that. 11/11 indestructible trample. Have fun. I'm like, oh, okay, more tokens.
Oh, sweet. I'll take that.
But it's really hard to outgain 1,000 damage from. Oh.
Yeah,
So I'm rather certain that's where it was.
I mean, probably crazier thing. Man, I don't know. 1,000 damage. I don't know. It's pretty crazy, even for the world of Magic.
I only ever had one deck that could go above that. That wasn't infinite, because it actually did cap out at one point. But basically, Primal Surge, which reads pay 10 mana, reveal the top card of your deck, put it into play if it's a permanent. Repeat this process till you don't hit a permanent. So I built a whole deck that was permanents, and its goal was to cast this card, and it topped out at like 7,000 infect damage. It was really bad, and it was all unblockable too. It was just like,
good lord,
eat this.
Good lord.
I remember that deck because it was just so bonkers. I took it apart, but that was my week. Last night was a lot of fun, and hanging out at Freak Show was pretty cool. Getting to enjoy his final stay here and lovely state, and he gets to head out west. And I won't say more than that. He made it safe, if anyone's curious.
Yes.
All right. So, if you're looking at the homepage of the Frantic Talk site and the video, you can see that we only had a podcast up posted this past week. Grunt and Freak Show, of course. Freak Show with traveling, and Grunt's just on the busier side, so we didn't get a chance to hear any Chronicles of Awe or Grunt's Grumblings. I assume we're going to just return to normal schedule next week, so you'll have another week after this before you get returned to the Frantic versus Freak Show and if the Tri-Weekly Freakly. But to go over what those are real quick for anyone listening, we have our podcast every Monday. Usually every Wednesday we get a weekly column that just kind of covers whatever the heck we want. This week would have been Grunt, but he's going next week. And then every Friday is our Wrestling Friday, where we either get a booking series that's written by Freak Show alone or a booking series written by me and Freak Show at the same time, trying to book a better card with roughly the same roster of characters as we've been hiring and signing some different talent. So if you're interested in all that, you can check it out on the website. And beyond that, we have this stupid story to talk about. I mentioned it at the top of the hour, at the top of the podcast. Oh my god. Star Wars Battlefront. All right, so let's go over what we know.
It's a great game. It's a great game, I hear.
Last week, we talked about how it appeared that there was 40 in-game hours worth of playing before you were going to unlock someone like Darth Vader. And I remember we said something along the lines of, that seems really absurd. Because it is. That's where we left it. That's if you're only listening to the Frantic Talks podcast for your source of news, that's all you know. So we're going to treat it like you don't know anything else. So that's what happened. And then I'm pretty sure Sunday, it might have been Monday. Let's start with the tweet. So one of the tweets that came out from a developer on the Star Wars Battlefront development team said, bunch of armchair developers, indicating, oh, you're just a bunch of guys who sit in a chair and tell us how to code a video game. Now, he claims that this tweet was not directed at the Star Wars Battlefront fans who were raging on Reddit. Reddit didn't give a shit and made official flares where you can now be an armchair developer in your flare. And I found that fucking hilarious.
Very coincidental if it's not related, though.
Yeah, I think he deleted the tweet. But that's where it happened. And then someone posted on Reddit, and this is where it gets really. So I should have brought up the tweet on, or not the tweet, the comment on screen. But anyways, you know what? I'm gonna take this off and pull it up while we're sitting. So what ended up happening was someone posted on the Star Wars Battlefront subreddit, okay? And they basically said, I think it's bullshit that I have to play, or I paid $80 for this video game, and I don't even get Darth Vader. That was his main comment. Like, he's just like, this is ridiculous. I deserve to be able to play Darth Vader. So here it is. I got it here.
I just want to play as Darth Vader, okay? That's all I want.
So he said, this is a joke.
Simple thing.
I'll be contacting EA support for a refund. I can't even play fucking Darth Vader. Disgusting. The age of microtransactions has gone way too far. Leave it to EA to stretch the boundaries. Now, that seems like kind of like maybe he's jumping a little too much. Like, what do you mean microtransactions? We haven't really heard too much about microtransactions. So let's go over the microtransactions before you see response. Microtransactions simply are these loot crates. So if you aren't familiar with a loot crate, kind of roll the dice, you get something really cool out of it. It's typically like $1 or $2 depending on what game you're playing. Rocket League, I think it's $2.50. I think actually TF2 is $2.50. So it's not like it's a $20 thing. You pay about $2.50, roll the dice, see what you get out of a cool crate. You get to preview the crates typically to see what you're possible to get. So it's not like you're just going in blind.
Right.
Well, in EA's game, Battlefront game, this is during early access, by the way, because the game didn't come out till like this past Thursday or Friday. So this is all early access information we're getting. They have these loot crates where you can get like Darth Vader out of it. So this kind of made people mad because this is pay to win. And it's not even like I'm paying for Darth Vader, it's I'm paying for a chance to get Darth Vader. So that's what got people really mad, because we're paying full price for a retail game, $60 to $80 depending on what version of the game you get. And then we have to either play 40 hours in game or throw $2.50 to $5 or however much it actually was at a loot crate at a gambling system to hopefully get the character we want. Already there is a lot going on in that is unacceptable in my mind. We'll talk about that in a minute here. We got to get through this whole story because this is just stupid. So that's where it kind of stood, and this is where people are like, these microtransactions are going way too far. Let's read EA's response, because let's see, controversial. That's how we're going to find it.
It's a pretty safe bet that that's how you'll find it.
Yeah. So they said, and if you're looking on screen, you might be able to see what happened. They say the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to assure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth around the topics on here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social sites. Just everywhere that you're saying all this passion and stuff is what they're claiming. Everywhere. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon as often we can. You might not realize what's wrong with that statement. That's okay. Reddit did. And they downvoted it negative 675,000 times. It actually was at 81 at one point. To say this is the most downvoted comment in history is an understatement, because the most downvoted comment in Reddit history was only at around like 50,000, and that was someone asking for downvotes. This is not someone asking for downvotes.
This is just straight up people downvoting it because of their actual dislike for that comment.
Now, I will say there aren't 675,000 people on the subreddit. I think there's only about, it says it on the site. There are currently 125,000 armchair developers. That's the quote.
Oh my god.
So where did all these downvotes come from? Well, people like me decided when they saw this to share it on like Facebook. And then people shared it to other parts of Reddit saying, hey, look, EA has the most downvoted comment in history. And people read it and were like, oh, that's bullshit. And the whole site came down on it. 675,000 downvotes. That's unbelievable.
That's quite a few.
That's quite a feat. Congratulations, EA. You did a good job at being literally awful. So what's the problem with this statement? Well, the problem is that the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. So if you've been seeing that statement in every meme related to a Star Wars picture on your Facebook feed for the past week, that's what they're referring to. That's the real problem.
I saw 4 or 5 of them on Tuesday or Wednesday.
So the very first response to this comment here by Bookham Dano, good name, he quotes that line that I just read to you and says, "That's rich. Just be honest. The truth is, you know, very people are going to sink a full work week into this game, and you're hoping that somebody is desperate enough to buy credits to unlock the character. It has nothing to do with providing a sense of pride and accomplishment. This is a flat-out lie, and you know it. How naive do you think we are?" They apparently think we're very naive. We're not. Negative 600. So that's where the shitstorm really began, because this happened, and then the EA PR guy, who I think wrote this, I can't confirm that, basically went and started shit-talking people on Twitter, to the point of where I'm pretty sure he got fired, because he no longer has his community manager in his bio or anything. He probably got canned for that.
I don't know anything, but yeah, you don't do that.
So this got a lot of outcry. Everyone was upset about this, naturally. And it took EA a little bit to respond. People were basically like, they haven't responded in 24 hours. This is bullshit. They don't give a shit.
The reason it took long for them to respond is damage control. They had to figure out what they were going to do with their PR person that decided to go rogue.
Yeah.
And then they had to formulate how they were actually going to respond.
Yes, and this was, and I remember this now, this was Monday morning that this was getting such heat, because it was like, imagine the Monday morning the EA executives are having right now.
Oh,
they were having...
It's like someone has a case of the Mondays.
They didn't have time to go get their morning cup of joe. Grunt and I are currently.
Nope.
He's drinking out a Destiny mug, and I'm like, I'm gonna drink out my Spider-Man mug. Spider-Man's cool.
What? It's not chalice? I'm disappointed in you.
So... Okay, so that's where it went on Monday, and this is when it all started getting shared. So if you're following me on Facebook, I know a couple people are in the chat right now who have said that they're here for Facebook. This is where it all kind of began, beyond the whole what happened with the armchair developer comment. So the Reddit subreddits, like, moderators are like, guys, this is bad, we know. And then EA says, hey, we're going to do an AMA on Reddit. But understand, if this gets hostile, we're backing out. So they came and did an AMA on Reddit, and people were posting, guys, seriously, don't tell them to go suck a dick. We seriously need to give them feedback in order for them to understand what's wrong. We don't just want to rip them a new one and they don't understand what's wrong, because they clearly don't even understand what we want half the time. So that ammo came and went, and it was at this point a couple of changes happened to the game. We had the amount of credits reduced for Darth Vader, at least, and a couple other characters, I believe. So we went from 60,000 to 15,000. Sounds good, right?
Wasn't it like a 75% reduction?
Yeah.
I think I remember
but it was
seeing
also,
some numbers thrown out.
It was also a reduction in how many credits you get for playing. Roughly the same amount. So now it costs less, but you still get the less amount. So it's like the same amount of time. Someone did the math on the new output, and it was the same amount of time. So you still had to put 40 hours into the game. People were like, okay, they're just changing it so they can say, no, it's not 60,000 credits anymore, guys. So they can just fall back on that argument. So more outcry came. People were very upset about this. Like, what the hell? You guys can't keep doing this. And then I'm pretty sure Disney was done with their shit because EA announced they were temporarily removing all microtransactions from the game. And there are multiple stories claiming that EA put their foot down. And now I'll put up the main article I have for this. So Disney pretty much put their foot down and said, you guys are ruining the Star Wars name right now and you're fucking up our brand during one of the biggest times of the year for us, where we have Episode 8 coming out in December and Battlefront 2 is supposed to be kind of like the hype train leading. And you guys are getting so many... I forgot to mention, they removed the refund button to where you had to go through EA's chat just to refund it. In the chat, because of how heavy of a load it had, you had like an hour wait just to delete a pre-order. Talk about making you jump through loopholes. Or hurdles, I guess is the right thing.
Both technically works.
So where this stands now, there's been a little bit of conflicting information that I'm not entirely sure. I did not buy the game, so I cannot speak to this. There are some people saying it's a lot better now. There are others saying, like the output's good. Others not so much. People saying this is only a temporarily removal of microtransactions. And the quote I heard and read was because they want people who join the game later to be able to quote unquote catch up to the other players. That's essentially where it stands. EA stock dropped, I think, 4 or 5 points over the course of all this, which is not too bad when you think about it, honestly. It's only like a 4 or 5% drop. But overall, this is not something new per se, because we've seen microtransactions in games that kind of get overreaching. They want you to pay way more than you should. So... I'll read a comment that's actually in our Twitch chat right now. And this is from a Comfy Spanks. This is a good friend of mine. This is Cameron from Facebook. He says, problem lies with previous games having these characters already unlocked, and now they reverse it. They are giving away free maps from his understanding and going along the lines of Rainbow Six Siege, with their progression and DLC system giving out free maps. But the pay to win in the game gets that extra upgrades is wrong, but there is low progression requirements that make you wait to use stuff from his understanding. Basically, this is making you pay for certain things in the game, and you've already paid for the game. That's essentially where I land on it. I could go on about a 20-hour rant on ethics right now, but since I just spewed all this nonsense at you, Grunt, do you have anything you want to add at the moment while I take a sip to calm my throat?
Well, the big problem here is, people hate microtransactions in games, period. They always have, always will. I can understand that. The way they are presented, though, is really what makes or breaks a game being good with microtransactions or not. Mm-hmm. I've heard it from several family members and other people I play games with that microtransactions are the future of games. They're here to stay. I agree with that. Because it's an easy way to, make up lost revenue.
That's a good point.
Do I think what EA did and how they were approaching it is right? No. You shouldn't have something that you can basically buy with money, real hard-earned money, in a loot box that you can just get randomly. They should be two different loot pools. Look at me being an armchair developer again here. If I'm going to wear that title with pride, not really. But yeah, the way EA handled it wasn't necessarily the best way, I don't think.
I think it was actually, it might be borderline the worst, besides literally just telling people to fuck off. Like...
just pretty much from what I read about it and what you told me about it, the entire situation is really bad. There's always been the EA is the worst. This definitely does not help with that.
They were voted. They do a yearly worst company community voting thing. I forget what website it does it, but I think 2012 and 2013 EA won it back to back. Right now,
Right.
Comcast won it the most recent time. Just to give you an idea
Of
of where
course,
people see
Comcast would.
them.
Of course, Comcast would. Um, but I saw a lot of stuff from Outlash from the community that wasn't right. My next article, funnily enough, I started writing like the week before all of this happened. And it'll briefly touch on that.
Yeah.
But just microtransactions, they're here to stay. It depends on how you do them, how well they're received.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I mean, I really don't think I can say anything more about it.
Yeah. So,
Overall, it's just a pretty bad situation from the way it was handled to the way it was originally presented.
mm,
Um, I know a lot of people are happy that they are currently disabling microtransactions,
mm,
um, but they didn't say that they're disabling them forever, as far as I know. So,
no, I think they've actually gone on record saying it is a temporary disable because they want people to be able to catch up. You know,
right,
if you buy
and
this game in Christmas, you aren't going to have 40 hours to. You'll be 40 hours behind everybody.
right, and I can understand that to some extent, but um, like I said before, and it's been said in our Twitch chat now, is the loot boxes should be not have stuff that you can buy in game with hard earned money. They should be totally separate loot pool,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
I
and
mean, it's how a lot of the things work in Destiny with Eververse. I know a lot of people were upset about that.
I got
But
nothing wrong with that.
the most of the stuff that can get from Eververse is, cosmetic items. And it's only stuff that you can get through Eververse.
Mm-hmm. And you can even earn
So,
the stuff in game by just playing. You get bride engrams just for playing. You know, it's not like you have
right,
to drop money on it.
right. So,
Which
I think
arguably
that's
you can play Battlefront 2 and still get those things, but the amount of time needed is much more significant.
right. Right. And that's another thing I did not know that they were lowering the credits earned rate too. So that was a little interesting.
That was what I heard. So it was like they dropped it to 15,000, but at the same time, people were like, "We're getting less amount," and someone did the math, and it was, "Oh, it's still 40 fucking hours."
Right. So, and I don't think hiding behind we want you to feel pride and a sense of accomplishment when you unlock this is,
God.
that's the kind of feeling you should get from unlocking the character, yes, but not because you have to spend the equivalent to a full time work week earning credits in that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
no, not at all. And we even mentioned how it was like in like Halo Reach was one of those where you had to spend a decent amount of time to get some of the top end stuff, but those didn't change the gameplay. Like,
Right. It was just cosmetic items again.
yeah, Grunt Birthday Party doesn't do anything. It just is fun to die with a grenade with a happy explosion.
It
Seriously.
is. It is. Speaking as a grunt myself. Wait.
So there's a conversation going on in the chat that's essentially saying we kind of echoed it. We want more cosmetic items. But I want to comment on something Cheesy Plays, who's chat, mentioned that they avoided this game primarily because of the disappointment of the first game. So I've gone on record specifically stating that Battlefront 1, when I first got it, I was kind of upset because it was what, 4 multiplayer maps and a bot wave mode for $60. I spent $80 on it. I spent $80 to get the Han Solo pistol, which only took like 5 minutes in game to unlock anyway. So I mean, the signs were there. Obviously, if you can spend $20 to get Han Solo's pistol that people will have in 5 minutes, obviously there. But
Right.
they gave you basically half a game. But then they started releasing the stuff for free. They weren't just reselling you map packs, which was nice. It was like, oh, okay, now the game's fully ready to go 2 years down the line. But now the second one is coming out. So a lot of people were skeptical, of course. Well, I didn't buy it. I was like, I have very mixed feelings about the first one, not going for the second one. But I think a lot of people echo the same sentiment that loot crates should be cosmetic purely, unless we're playing a freemium game. And if you don't know what a freemium game is, it's just a free-to-play game, but there's typically in-game purchases that can probably put you above people. We all kind of expect that, I feel like, at this. I know you do. I know I do. I know a couple other people that are just like, yeah, if I'm going to play a free-to-play game on my phone, I imagine I'm probably not going to do better than some of the people who can dump a bunch of money into it.
Right.
Uh, and before I go on, I want to say thank you to EA for one particular reason. Oh my god, the memes that have come out of this are the greatest things ever. I cannot I cannot explain to you how great they are. Prequel memes has taken this shit and ran with it. If you haven't gone to the prequel memes subreddit, it's just r/prequel memes. Oh, it's so great. Just go there when you have a minute after the podcast. It's because you've probably seen most of it on your Facebook feed. But anyways, I think a lot of people would echo the sentiment that the loot crates shouldn't have an impact on the game, assuming you paid a price to play the game. That's essentially how I view it, and I know a lot of other people. And a lot of people were like, I paid $60 to $80 for this game. Why can't I play as Darth Vader? Was the initial question. So it's like, I jump on and I pay $60 to play this game. I jump in and find out I need to keep paying money to do things. The only other place where I can think of that type of line of logic would be World of Warcraft. But it's not because you're paying to keep playing to play certain things. You're paying for a subscription to the service. The World of Warcraft expansions are $60. You hop in, and then you have to pay $15 every month to keep playing it. But that's about it. There's not really much else. So this isn't an online MMORPG. That's not what this is. This is a first-person shooter of the likes of Call of Duty. So the loot crates, similar to Rocket League, I like those. You open up a loot crate for $250, you get something purely cosmetic. It affects nothing else. You get a dab and ghost when the explosion happens. Cool, good on you. You want to stand out amongst the crowd. That's my feelings on it. Versus someone who's playing a premium game, it's like, why would you dump so much money? We covered the one story where the guy was talking about, or the guy who stole money from an accounting firm, I'm pretty sure it was. He stole money from his accounting firm, like $4 million, and he dumped $1 million into a Clash of Clans. And that's how he got caught, was dumping this much money into a Clash of Clans. Obviously, he wasn't smart, but I feel like EA saw that and was like, we need to jump on that. We need these whales to feed us more and more money. So I think it's ridiculous that they decided to have a pay-to-play game in both the initial buying price, $60, and then also with the microtransactions. Entirely unethical, in my opinion.
Right.
So I can't think of anything else to add to that. There's a lot of ethical issues that come in with this. We've talked before about how it takes... you probably only get one game purchase a month. The average gamer isn't swimming in money. So they're going to get the ability to maybe buy one game a month. So whatever games are coming out that month, that game needs to make a good argument for why you need to. I think we talked about this back when it was like Horizon Zero Dawn and a couple other games. Or a good example would be Battleborn versus Overwatch. Which game are you going to buy?
Right.
Obviously, Overwatch won that one by a mile, just being a better game. But gamers only have so much money to feed into this. And EA is exploiting that to the nth degree with what they tried to do here, having turned it all off. They aren't necessarily trying to do that.
Right.
So it's scummy. This is the company that sells us a roster update every year. And as like I said before, right at the beginning, we weren't surprised by this so much. It was just, what the hell? Who thought this was a good idea? I mean, the executives with dollar signs in their eyes. Obviously, the armchair developer thing is really funny, but when you think about it, the developers that work on these games, they only have so much say in the final product. Sure, they get to code it and make a really cool thing that looks awesome, but they can't jump into it and just be like, I want XYZ to happen. They have deadlines, they have things they have to meet, goals they have to, meet. Use the same word again. The EA executives is who we can throw this at, because obviously they're looking at a bottom line and they see a gamer as a dollar sign. They don't see a gamer as someone who looks to play the game for the social enjoyment. So, I don't know.
Right.
I think it's ridiculous. And obviously, so did everybody else. In the 675,000 downvotes later, we now have no microtransactions in the game for the time being. But,
right. I think this is like we'll look back on this several years from now, and this will be like the epitome, the golden example, whatever you want to call it, of how not to do microtransactions.
I mean, I could have told you this 2 years ago, don't do this shit, but someone didn't get a memo. Seriously.
Right. right. It's just absolute everything that went wrong, that could have went wrong, did. From the initial. I'm really curious. You said the game just came out not too long ago, if not yet, just this week.
Yeah, it was like Thursday or Friday. I think it was the 16th.
Hmm.
It was the 16th or 17th, which was this past Thursday or Friday. But the reason all this information came out was because if you had EA Gold or Early Access or whatever, you could play it the weekend before. And that's when we found
That's right.
out.
EA Access. Yes,
Yeah, so when
you
we found
usually
out
get
about the 40 hours, that was before all this happened. That was when people were jumping in and someone decided to do the math.
right.
So,
So yeah, um, it's like a beta 2.0 is what it was.
in a
um,
way, yeah, but at that point, it's just like an incentive to buy the game for more of a higher price to play it earlier.
right.
I don't think there's much wrong with that if you really want to play a game and you were willing to pay 10 to 15 bucks extra. I don't think there's anything
Right.
too wrong with that, but
I mean, I definitely am getting my value out of the EA Access membership that I have, because I get that free roster update for even more free
right.
whenever they add a new Madden game or NHL game to the um, EA Vault, the Access Vault. So yeah, this is worst case scenario. Yeah, going back to what I was saying before, it's interesting how they determined, what the new values of everything should be. Um, was it actually based on user feedback, or was it something that maybe they're just like, hey, we need to change something, so let's just reduce everything by 75%.
Yeah, like they it's almost like they looked at the code and reduced it by 75% thinking that would decrease it, but they accidentally decreased how much you make at the end of the game too.
Right. There you go, being that armchair developer again.
I mean, I at least know how code works. I don't know all the inner workings of video game coding, but I do know my fair
You know
share of
how
coding.
this is the internet, Frantic. You should know this by now. You know how to make words italic using HTML code. That's enough to make a AAA title game.
Damn, if that was like how it translated into those skills, I would be impressed.
Yeah, right. I mean, we'd be running our own game company right now.
Shit, we would, wouldn't we? Frantic Talks Games coming soon, 2019. So,
Oh, odd.
we've
Yeah.
that's basically where it stands. EA took out the transactions. People are fucking pissed, rightfully so, in my opinion. And the last thing I want to talk about, just briefly, is a comment that Comfy Spanks put in the Twitch chat. He mentioned that microtransactions should always stay to cosmetic or minor parts of the game. So cosmetic, we've said. There's also one other thing, Halo 5. So Halo 5, we talked about how they had microtransactions that theoretically affected the game, but we were okay with this at the time, and I still am. How Halo 5 did microtransactions, I think, is the best way they could have done. The casual mode that just has a bunch of people running around shooting shit is the only way you can theoretically affect it. Affect the gameplay with your money. And you're still rolling the dice, but what it was their war games or Warzone?
War games. Well,
Now I'm
Warzone.
saying
You're correct. War games was the multiplayer in Halo 4. Warzone is
okay.
everything.
War games is also a type of wrestling match, and that's where I got that in my mind, but we'll talk about that later. So Warzone, it was this kind of like there was firefight that they added to it, but it was really just the largest we'd ever done on Halo. I think it was 8v8 or 12v12 or something. It was the largest you'd ever seen in Halo.
I think it was 12v12.
Yeah.
Or
And how it
something
worked
like that.
was just as the game progressed and got later into like levels, like you'd start at rec level 1, it went up to like 10 or 7. I don't remember which number it was. Once
7.
you hit it was
No,
7.
9.
Is it
9.
Okay.
Yes.
Once you hit each level, you could unlock more powerful weapons. So you start with an assault rifle, pistol. When you got to like 2 or 3, you could start unlocking like energy swords, needlers, all those more powerful weapons. But you didn't find them on the map. You picked them out of these cards that you got from in-game. What were they called? They were called rec packs. So
Requisition packs.
Yes,
Rec
these
packs,
are
for
similar
short.
to loot crates because you got them simply by playing and spending credits, but at the same time, you could buy them with real world money. So the people didn't really. I know people lashed out because microtransactions, but for the most part, it wasn't like this is awful. There were things that we liked about it. One, half of the money that was spent on all those requisition packs went to the World Championship Series of Halo 5. So the competitive group got to take some of the money from this if they won. So
Right.
it wasn't like they were just taking the money and running with it. They were like, yeah, let's give this back to the community that could be spending money on it or is not. It doesn't matter. The money is going back into the community. That we liked that about it, and we also liked that it was in the casual game mode, the competitive mode where they were doing Breakout and Team Slayer and all the original stuff that you're used to. This was unaffected by this, unless it was cosmetic, because you could have different types of armor or a cool skin on your battle rifle. So that was the only place this was affected, which is kind of falling back to what we were saying. It was cosmetic when it mattered, but minor parts of the game where it was like casual gameplay, it was theoretically affected. But in reality, all it was just you had to really try and get those really high level stuff. And you only got like 1 or 2 of them, so you'd only have it for a game or two. And if you played those game modes, you got a shit ton of credits anyway. So it wasn't like you were really hurting if you weren't spending money. I remember playing like 3 or 4 of them and getting to the highest purchasable pack in no time.
Which I think was like 10,000 rec points for a gold pack, which was what you could, the highest level you could get. Now I think now they've introduced more like platinum levels and that stuff, but I think those you actually have to buy. It's been a while since I played Halo 5, so I'm probably wrong on that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. But I would say EA, if you're really looking to clean up your act and figure out a better way to do it, look to Halo 5. Seriously. I think Halo did it probably the best. It's just 40 hours in game to just even come close to what swiping your credit card could do. That's ridiculous.
Right.
And I loved, okay, so we'll leave with one headline and I think we're done. Someone calculated how much it would cost you, how many hours it would take to unlock literally everything. Ready for this number, Grunt? Because this is stupid.
I don't know if I'm ready. Do I need to brace myself?
You should probably brace yourself. If you wanted to unlock
right,
everything
I'm
just swiping
braced.
your credit card, you need to spend $2,100.
Hmm.
Or, if I remember correctly, 2,400 some odd hours in game. Or 40 hours a week for a year and a half.
No. Just no.
You know what you could also do in that time?
A lot of stuff.
Get a minimum wage job and make almost $40,000.
Yeah, that's...
I'm going to tell you right now, go get the minimum wage job and make money. Don't play at Battlefront 2.
Man, that's insane.
So if you weren't too sure up until this point why this is such a ridiculous deal, that might tell you right there, because that's basically saying just throw a credit card at this game. Don't bother spending time in it. Literally deceiving the fans, saying you can earn it in game or you should buy money. This game literally will only play well if you spend money on it. Or you're just God mode and never die to heroes or something, but I doubt that's the case. You must be one hell of a rebel pilot. So that's also a good point, Comfy. If you're a popular streamer, you could probably make that money and have no problem. But
that's actually true, yes.
that is quite a niche group of people. But
right.
A valid argument nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think that about does it. We said all we need to say. This is scummy as hell. Stick to cosmetics, microtransactions, quit invading our games. Unless it's Candy Crush, then I feel no sorrow for you at all. You stick to Candy Crush and beating the level.
Don't ever mention that game. Or Farmville.
Oh my god. Play Stardew Valley. My girlfriend's been playing Stardew Valley. She's on like day 30. If you see me on Steam and playing Stardew Valley, that's exactly who is. All right, but I'm gonna take a swig of this coffee, and we're gonna be. All right.
Impressive.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I know we only talked about really one thing and kind of breezed through our weeks, but that was a big topic to cover because that has a lot of implications for games moving forward. I know I told EA thank you for the memes, but also EA thank you for setting an example of what the hell absolutely not to do, because who better to do it than the company we are. To sum up this episode, I agree with Cheesy Plays. Fuck EA, basically. So with that being said, let's go over all the stuff on screen just to give you a quick answer to everything. Like, if you guys want to continue this conversation, let us know what you think. Maybe we didn't cover something you were expecting us to cover. Whatever it is, let us know. If you didn't join us in the chat like so many did today, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at FranticJ3. He is at OnyxSpartan, ONYXSpartan, all one word, and we are at Frantic_Talks. Follow us for all our podcast articles and the likes. Also, head over to facebook.com/FranticTalks. Hit that like button. You'll get a more Facebook form of Twitter if that so is your choice. Twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, where a few of you joined us today. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, we will always almost be here, going live, talking about gaming and fun stuff. Also, head over to frantictalks.com, the last one, where you can check out all our articles, all our podcasts. Every link that I just mentioned is in the footer, along with our Discord channel, if you guys want to join us when Discord isn't dead, and continue the conversation over there.
It's been so hard not to push my hotkey to mute my microphone. I've actually had to move my cursor and push a button.
Yep. So,
fix your stuff, Discord.
Right. But yeah, Discord has been acting up, but you can join our Discord channel, frantictalks.com in the footer. Also, magic.frantictalks.com. If you like Magic the Gathering, we talk a little bit about it on there. It's a little dormant currently, but there's a lot of cool stuff there. We also have a Magic chat in our Discord chat, so you can talk about stuff in there, talk about cool sick plays at your latest game, whatever it is. And all that stuff, like I said, is on frantictalks.com, but I forgot to say this because I was so excited. If you guys can't seem to find us, if there is, for some reason, your internet decided to die, I forgot to say this. What can they do? 110 times out of 10, Grunt, what can they do to find us?
Direct themselves to their nearest search engine and just search Frantic Talks. You will find us 101 times out of 10, or your money back.
Or your /glimmer back. All right, guys. That about does it for us. Let us know what you think. I'm glad y'all joined us in the chat today, and we're having fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. And fuck EA.
Thanks for tuning
guys.
in. Thank you for tuning in, and including EA.
EA, if you're listening, fuck you guys. All right. That about does it. Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
We will see you guys next time.